Now the next important study is proportion. Now what is a proportion? If two ratios are equal, then they are said to be in proportion, or a proportion is equality of two ratios. In a proportion, we have 1:2 is one ratio, 2:4 is another ratio. Because they are equal, they are said to be in proportion, and the method of representing a proportion is 1:2 proportion 2:4. Remember that 1, 2, 2, 4 are in proportion. Now general form of proportion is if A upon B is equal to C upon D are two ratios, that is one ratio A upon B is equal to another ratio C upon D, then A is to B is proportion to C is to D, where A, B, C, D are the terms and they are in proportion. Now remember, A, B, C, D are called as the terms of proportion. A is the first term, B is the second term, C is the third term, and D is the fourth term. And here B and C are called as the means, and A and D are called as the extremes. Remember that. Now the rule of proportion is if A is to B, proportion C is to D is the proportion, then the product of the means, that is B into C, is equal to the product of the extremes, and that is called as the rule of proportion, which is very useful in calculations. To find if the ratios are in proportion, if you want to check whether 12:14 is to 42 is to 49 are in proportion, then the method is very, very simple. Now multiply the the means here, 14 into 42, and multiply 12 into 49, that is the extremes, 12 into 49. If they are equal, that is the product of the means is equal to the product of the extremes, that is 588 is equal to 588, and therefore this is in proportion. So the terms 12, 14, 42, 49 are in proportion. Remember that. That is one method. Another method is very simple again. 12:14 is written in a fraction form as 12 by 14. 12:49 is written in the fraction form as 42 by 49. Take the cross product, that is 12 into 49 is 588, 14 into 42 is 588. If the cross products are equal, then the ratios are equal and the ratios are in proportion. So therefore remember that if the ratios are equal, then cross products are equal and they are said to be in proportion. So these are the two different methods of finding out that or showing that the ratios are in proportion. Now continued proportion. Now what is this continued proportion? If we have the terms as A is to B, proportion B is to C, that means the middle term B and B are same. Rather, if we have a ratio A by B and then the denominator of the first ratio is the numerator of the second, then they are said to be in continued proportion. Remember that. Now mean proportional. If A, B, C are in continuous proportion, then that is A is to B, proportion B is to C, then B is called as the mean proportional between A and C, and that can be found out by taking the product of the means and the product of the extremes, that is B into B is B square is equal to A into C, or B is equal to square root of AC. Rather, the mean proportional between A and C is B, and that is equal to root of AC. Remember that. Now the third proportional. If A, B, C are in continued proportion as A is to B, proportion B is to C, then C is called as the third proportional, and the product of the extremes is equal to product of means. A into C is equal to B into B, or C is equal to B into B divided by A, or C is equal to B square by A. So the third proportional C is equal to B square by A. Remember that. Now if A, B, C, D are the terms and they are written as A is to B is proportional to C is to D, then D is called as the fourth proportional. The product of extremes is equal to product of means. A into D is equal to B into C, then the fourth proportional D is equal to B into C upon A. So remember how to find the mean proportional, the third proportional, the fourth proportional, and so on. Remember that. Now coming to the next point, the important relations in proportion. We have got different important relations in proportion. The first one is the proportion rule, where if A is to B is proportional to C is to D, then the product of A into D is equal to B into C. The product of extremes is equal to the product of means, a very important relation which we have already observed. Then coming to the next important relation, that is invertendo. In invertendo, the meaning of invertendo is if A is to B is proportional to C is to D, it is same as B is to A. That means interchanging the position of A and B, it is B is to A, interchanging the position of C and D, that is D is to C. Therefore we have this is called as invertendo. That means the ratios are proportional even when the inverses of the ratios are taken. That means if I take A upon B and I take the inverse of this, become B upon A. If I take C upon D, the inverse of that is D upon C. The cross products are same, and therefore it is called as invertendo, a very important relation in proportion. Now alternando. Now alternando is if A is to B is proportional to C is to D, then A upon B is equal to C upon D. Now instead of A in place of B I take C. That means I can take, in place of C I can shift the position of C and B here, B in place of C and C in place of B. That is called as alternando. And if you take the cross products, the cross products are equal and the ratios remain proportional even when the terms are altered, and that is called as alternando. Then we have the componendo. In componendo, what we have to do is A is to B is proportional to C is to D. Take the ratio of A upon B and C upon D, add 1 on both the sides, we get A plus B by B and C plus D by D, and that is called as they are said to be, they are again are in proportion, and that is called as componendo. So the componendo is if A is to B is proportional to C is to D, then A plus B is to B is proportional to C plus D is to D. So that is called as componendo. Then we have the dividendo. If A is to B is proportional to C is to D, then A minus B is to B, or A minus B upon B is equal to C minus D upon D, which is again obtained by taking subtracting 1 from LHS and RHS, and we find that A minus B by B is equal to C minus D by D, and the terms are in proportion, and that is dividendo. In componendo and dividendo, what we do is we take both the component and dividendo, that is A plus B and divided by A minus B. A plus B divided by A minus B is equal to C plus D divided by C minus D. Rather, A plus B is to A minus B is proportional to C plus D is to C minus D, and it is very simple. Divide the componendo by dividendo, we will get this relation, that is A plus B is to A minus B is proportional to C plus D is to C minus D, and the different forms given above help in simplification of ratios, very useful in calculations as far as the ratios are concerned. So remember all these properties of ratio and proportion, and very useful in calculations in mathematics. Read, understand and remember. Make a note of this in a book and try to revise it so that the properties are clear to you. Thank you.